Hello, hello, hello. This is Lopcat, and welcome back. Today is October 31st, 2019. So, it is Halloween. Might as well make that my topic for the day. Halloween, if I believe correctly, was originally a Scottish holiday that kind of celebrated the harvest. I don't quite know how it got started, but in short, it was a pagan holiday. Then Christians, namely the Catholics, decided to have All Saints Day and All Souls Day. I believe All Saints Day is the day before All Souls. All Souls, I think, is November 2nd. All Saints Day is November 1st, which is very close to Halloween. You could very easily say that this was on purpose so that Catholic holidays could overlap or otherwise kind of like consume Halloween so people stop celebrating it. Obviously that didn't quite work, but now we're into today's era. Today, Halloween, less of a holiday and more like just a day for people to express themselves as something they can't be or they're otherwise not, and kind of just a day for entertainment. It's a very big holiday. Businesses and companies make a lot of money off of it, namely costume makers and candy makers. Since I'm sure you understand why they make a lot of money. For kids, being able to dress up as something is overall amazing. After all, being able to be something you can't be, like a lizard man, a knight, a ninja, a wizard, a witch, things that don't overall exist, being able to just imagine that you are those is good. It allows the kids to express themselves as well as live in their imagination just a little bit. And even then, it is just once a year, this kind of general idea for self-expression. Parents get to struggle with the idea of dressing up their kids and all the costs involved, as well as other kids coming to their door. There's a few different surrounding issues, but I would not put much weight on them just because they don't really... The other issues don't really deserve weight because they aren't really things that you notice. The idea of trying to match a certain situation, trying to make a political statement, those are things that can be done. They aren't necessarily right, but they're done nonetheless. Speaking of this idea of matching, recently I had an event happening at work, a little activity for kids, and my station was connected to another station which dealt with gypsy-style fortune-telling. If you're not aware, gypsy style namely pertains to the idea of like a woman over a crystal ball. It's like, ooh, kind of thing. And it's loosely connected with tarot cards. I don't believe gypsies were the ones that made tarot cards, but yeah. My partner who was running that fortune-telling booth was dressing up as a gypsy. She even put her own spin on it, included candles and colors, Nordic rune stones. I don't really know if rune stones were a means of fortune telling or not. All I do know is she used them to help tell fortunes with the kids while in connection to tarot cards. Long story short, my station was to make the kids busy while she gave them divinations, I believe is the correct word. And that's fine, except my station didn't totally match. Originally, it was brought forward that I would do cootie catchers. You know, those things that you had when you were in elementary school and had 4 things. It kind of looks like a mouth. And you go, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And so it's kind of fortune telling. I personally didn't like the idea because I didn't feel like it was Halloween enough, and the kids wouldn't be able to do much with it. It was very much of like, these are the prepared things. You need to make your fortune-telling device like ours, otherwise it's wrong. And I didn't like that. So instead I decided to go with something that was entirely creative, which involved something akin to the telephone game. The kids got split into 3. Then within that group of 3, each kid got a strip of paper. I think it was like a letter-sized paper that got cut up into 4 different strips. 3 of them went to the kids immediately, and the other strip was held off for later. And I'll explain that other strip in a moment. The kids would then utilize their strips to, one by one, create a head, a body, and legs, respectively. This split up would then be combined onto a different piece of paper to make a monster. Then this is where the other strip of paper comes in that I told you got left out. That strip is used to put on the name. And so with those 3 things combined, 3 things combined, the strips, all the strips of paper, the name, and the backboard, they had a full monster. And so it required the kids to work together, and yet they didn't need each other. And it allowed for the kids to be able to express their creativity, and it was really working in the idea of Halloween, kind of making something that doesn't exist. I liked it a whole lot. It was really fun. I ended up dressing up as a wizard, a sorcerer. And so I talked to the kids very loosely about like how I was a conjurer, makes things. And my partner was a diviner who, gets divinations or does them. Gives them? I don't know. It's one of those words that's kind of weird. My partner was rather vehemently against me dressing up as anything other than a Hungarian, which the gypsies are. The gypsies come from Hungary, and so they're Hungarian. She wanted me to dress up as a Hungarian. I didn't want to, and she wasn't very happy about that. And my feeling was very simple, which was Halloween is a day for you to express yourself. And I intend on doing that. Being a wizard, an astronaut, a cowboy, all those seemed more interesting than being a Hungarian. After all, it was a basic costume would be somewhere between a pirate and like a sailor from the 1840s, which I understand are kind of the same. The difference is that a pirate would be rude and a pirate would be violent, a sailor would just be rude. The fact that I looked so much like other things made it very hard for me to want to do it. And even the sorcerer costume that I had, it's true, I was somewhere between like a wizard, like a timekeeper, and just an old man. And frankly, that's more or less what I was going for. But a Hungarian, it's not fun. I didn't see any interest in it. Not personally. And if I can't enjoy it, I know I can't make a character out of it. And the kids loved my little old man costume. I got called a lot of things, actually. It was kind of fun. But it's like, oh yeah, I'm senile, my back, oh, I need to keep slouching. My back actually hurt quite a bit after that. No, not my back, my neck. Because because I went like this. Moving towards a somewhat more complicated topic, like how businesses are profiting off of Halloween. Moving on to a slightly more difficult topic, like how businesses are profiting off of Halloween. Well, first of all, a lot of candy gets made and sold, namely in the smallest form possible. I think that's really inefficient for the businesses, but they're able to sell a lot of them, so the volume of the sales is able to balance out the costs of the small packaging and stuff. In short, the companies are able to make a lot of money this one season of the year, particularly because, there's also Easter, merely by the notion of the idea that every household should have some candy, which is different from Easter, which mostly pertains just to your close family or whoever you do Easter egg hunts with. Therefore, you have kids. It's a much smaller population to be trying to sell to. But selling to everyone, it's hard, but if you can do it, you will make a lot of money. As with anything. It's kind of like water bottles. Everyone needs to drink water, so therefore, if you can sell water bottles, you will make a fair bit of money. Then there's the costume side of it. I find this really weird because people try not to wear the same costume more than once, so it's like a $60 one-time purchase for a single day of the year. And it's weird. It's such a weird thing that people want to do that. I did the same thing, so I can't really complain, but I can't understand, is it like social programming, like society? We feel that we should be dressing up, and so therefore we do, and we don't want to wear the same costume twice, so then when we don't, it gets kind of expensive, but it's also kind of fun. Being able to be something different every year, and even then you're able to express yourself in different ways. This year I was a sorcerer, last year I was a ninja, the year before that I was just a pumpkin wearing a bedsheet. Literally. It was a plastic pumpkin, but I did wear the pumpkin, and I basically just had a bedsheet in black that covered up my body. I looked somewhere between a Grim Reaper and a Headless Horseman, and just scary. The kids didn't really like it, but all the adults did, all their parents did, and I feel like that's what matters. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a fair bit. Trying to understand how Halloween will progress in the future is difficult. After all, it started off as being a pagan holiday that got adapted and changed because of Catholic holidays, which even to today aren't really celebrated except for the most devout of Catholics. I say most devout. You just have to be fairly devout. I personally am not, even though I myself am a Catholic, or will claim to be. Oh, they're repainting the road. That's good. I think they're almost done with it. I don't know why they have the divide in the middle. It feels empty. By the way, I'm going through a area of road work, so it's not being actively worked on, but they have the lanes closed and a lot of cones about. So I don't really understand some of their decision-making process. It's like that double yellow with a lane in the middle. I don't really know why. I assume it's for cop cars? I don't know. Anyway. Halloween being able to progress into the future. It's either A, the companies will have an even bigger grasp and more people will be doing it. Or B, people are going to realize that they've been spending too much money, and there'll be a big backlash, and the amount of people in Halloween costumes and really celebrating that idea of Halloween will just drop drastically. I don't really have a major basis for it, but it seems like the concept of Halloween is beginning to be a bit of a bubble. As companies are funneling more money into it, and it's inflating, the odds of that bubble popping and people starting to not care about Halloween seems high. And it's true that a big part of Halloween is dependent on the kids. After all, as they age up, they turn to adults, and as adults, they have more money to spend. They're able to make more elaborate costumes, if nothing else, just for the entertainment of one another when they're older for Halloween parties. After all, if you do something as a kid, at least in my opinion, you're much more likely to end up doing that also as an adult. Again, I have no definitive proof for that, but it's what I believe. So as time progresses, we'll see how things change, if at all. Maybe the companies will kind of reel back from how much they're spending, and the bubble will deflate and stabilize. Or rather, it won't be such a bubble. A big reason why I'm mentioning it as being a bubble is because the concept of Thanksgiving is kind of dying out. It goes from Halloween decorations straight to Christmas decorations. I personally disagree with that kind of concept, since I believe Thanksgiving, although it's kind of demeaning to... there was a guy, construction worker, who was walking through an intersection. I needed to make sure I didn't hit him, because that'd be bad. Although Thanksgiving is kind of like a demeaning holiday to Native Americans, or I guess American Indians, whatever your preferred term is, I still believe it's a very good day. After all, it is a day that's dedicated to the idea of giving thanks, if not to others, to at least the very food in front of you. And that in of itself, I think, is good. Since depression is on the rise, people being able to recognize gratitude more openly, more freely, I believe would be a good thing. But I can get into that more as Thanksgiving approaches. In any case, just a quick recap. I believe Halloween was a Scottish holiday that was fairly pagan, that celebrated the harvest. It kind of got mixed and jumbled up, or otherwise hidden, by the Catholic holidays of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, which are back to back. And then as time has progressed, more and more people have been getting into the routine of having Halloween costumes and having candy. And it's inflated this kind of company bubble where these companies can be very dependent on this one day of the year to make a lot of money. And maybe the companies will realize that bubble may pop one day, and suddenly just the concept of Halloween will just go downhill very fast. Not particularly confirmed or any case, just my personal speculation. Maybe the bubble will stabilize instead, and the companies will be able to keep doing their thing, and Halloween as a holiday, although it will fizzle out a little bit, it will still be very present. That's a lot of cars waiting for that gas station. And lastly, as things we do as kids, we like to do as adults also. And companies are able to kind of feed on that. The idea that as a kid, oh wow, well I dressed up, I got candy. And then as an adult, it's like, well I can't get candy, but I can dress up. And so they have parties and what's nots like that. It's a very interesting holiday. Overall, I think it's good. After all, it allows a special freedom of expression for one day of the year for all the things that you can't be. A wizard, a ninja, a witch, a dragon. Whatever it is that you choose, whatever it is that you are, from the real to the fake, it's still a day that you can express yourself in all the ways that you wish, and very few will judge. With that, I'm gonna cut it off here. As always, Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below if you've got something to say. This has been LapCat. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye-bye.